1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. The Prime Minister says the government is committed to extend all possible facilities to the exporters to enhance the country's exports, both in goods as well as services. The Foreign Minister has said Pakistan wants to further expand its bilateral relations with Indonesia in various sectors, including defense and commerce. The Information Minister says the government is striving to control inflation and stable prices of essential commodities is in the best interest of the general public. More than 70 relief and rescue teams of the Pakistan Army are assisting the civil administration in Karachi to provide relief to the people in the rain-induced flood-hit areas. The Modi-led fascist Indian government has directed to expedite issuance of domicile to non-Kashmiris under a well-thought-out plan in changing the demography in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. In Afghanistan, more than 70 people have been killed and dozens of others injured due to flood in Parwan province. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan says the government is committed to extend all possible facilities to exporters to enhance the country's exports both in goods as well as services. He was talking to a delegation of leading exporters from various sectors in Islamabad today, acknowledging the critical role of exports in the national economy, including job creation and employment of young workforce of the country. The Prime Minister emphasized the need for greater focus on capitalizing the country's potential in services-related exports. Imran Khan expressed satisfaction over Pakistan's economy moving in the right direction and constantly showing growth in exports after a global slump caused by COVID-19 pandemic. The Prime Minister noted that in order to promote the process of industrialization in the country and to make our products competitive, the government has either eliminated or significantly reduced duty on hundreds of tariff lines involving raw material for the local industry. He said the system of refunds has been streamlined to resolve liquidity issues of exporters and industrialists. Imran Khan said the government is vigorously pursuing Made in Pakistan policy to promote export-led industrialization in the country. Prime Minister Imran Khan has constituted a National Coordination Committee on Tourism with immediate effect. The committee has been constituted to facilitate and coordinate the government's commitment to give tourism a priority in mainstream development and steer the country towards becoming the fastest growing tourism destination. The committee has been tasked to promote investments through public-private partnership and small and medium enterprises. It will also suggest measures to promote formal training of manpower engaged with the tourism industry for capacity building. The Senate was informed today that the government is making efforts to expand the coverage area of cellular services to the uncovered areas of the country. Responding to a question during question hour, the advisor to the Prime Minister on Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Babar Awan, said 3,000 new sites have been identified for the installation of towers to provide better and improved service. Replying to another question, the Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs, Ali Muhammad Khan, said Pakistan International Airlines operated special flights for repatriation of stranded Pakistanis from across the world in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. The House has been prorogued. The Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has said Pakistan wants to further expand its bilateral relations with Indonesia. Talking to the outgoing ambassador of Indonesia, Awan Suyudi Amri, in Islamabad today, he emphasized on further promoting bilateral cooperation in various sectors, including defense and commerce. The Foreign Minister thanked Indonesia for playing its positive role in a debate held in the United Nations Security Council on Kashmir. The outgoing ambassador lauded Pakistan's role in successfully overcoming the COVID-19 pandemic. Earlier talking to American Shahzad Affair Paul Jones, who paid a farewell call on the foreign minister in Islamabad today, Shah Mahmood Qureshi said promotion of Pakistan-US ties is imperative for ensuring peace and stability in the region, including the Afghan peace process. The Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Senator Shibli Farah, says the government is making concrete efforts to control inflation and prices of the essential commodities. Addressing a news conference along with the Minister for National Food Security, Syed Fakhar Imam, in Islamabad today, he said the government is committed to expose the hoarders and no stone will be left unturned in this regard. Speaking on the occasion, the Minister for National Food Security, Syed Fakhar Imam, said the government is determined to ensure sufficient provision of wheat in the country. He said the government has decided to import wheat, which will also help stable the prices of flour. More than 70 relief and rescue teams of the Pakistan Army and Pakistan Rangers Sindh are assisting the civil administration in Karachi to provide relief to the people in the rain-induced flooded areas. According to ISPR, due to heavy rains in Karachi, part of its current sixth monsoon spell, many of the localities got badly affected, with situation getting aggravated due to downpour in Kirthar range. Moreover, 3 different teams of the Pakistan Army engineers have been deployed along Mehran Drain to avert its spillover and ensure that K electric grid station may not be inundated. This is Radio Pakistan. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the Modi-led fascist Indian government has directed the competent authorities to issue domicile certificates to applicants within 5 working days. Meanwhile, the All Parties Youth Conference leader and chairman of Jammu and Kashmir Social Peace Forum, Advocate Devinder Singh Bahal, has strongly condemned the issuance of domicile certificates to non-Kashmiris on fast-track basis, saying that India, under a well-thought-out plan, is engaged in changing the demography in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. He urged the international community to prevent India from using nefarious tactics to upset the existing demographic composition in the territory. The Washington-based think tank, U.S. Institute of Peace, has expressed concern over the Indian government's decision to annex Jammu and Kashmir. In a report, the U.S. Institute of Peace, funded by the U.S. Congress, highlighted that the decision will be sorely tested by the disaffection that has intensified among Kashmiris since August 5, 2019. The report says the Indian government's insistence on Kashmir being a purely domestic issue is a fiction maintained only by a large security presence. In Afghanistan, more than 70 people have been killed and dozens injured due to flood in Parwan province. A provincial government spokesperson said hundreds of houses and vehicles were also destroyed. The American Secretary of State Mike Pompeo today discussed regional stability and Gulf unity with the Crown Prince of Bahrain Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa as part of a Middle East tour following an accord between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. In a tweet, Mike Pompeo said he discussed the importance of building regional peace and stability, including the importance of Gulf unity in the region. In the United States, 3 people have been killed and 1 injured during a third night of unrest in Kenosha City in Wisconsin state. Unrest broke out after Jacob Blake was shot by the police on Sunday. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has called for resolution of Rohingya refugee crisis. In a statement, the United Nations Secretary-General spokesperson said the United Nations will continue to stand in solidarity with all those affected by the crisis. And finally, the weather. Rain, wind, thunderstorm is expected in most districts of Islamabad, Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Kashmir, while at isolated places in Sindh and eastern Balochistan during the next 12 hours. Heavy falls are also expected in Upper Punjab and Kashmir. And that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link, facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.